Welcome everyone back to another Soso Walking in Wisdom. I am Coach CC, and part of my practice, in light of the wonderful work that's being done in the Nollywood industry and the Nigerian landscape, it's so important that we bring to your attention all of the great work coming from individuals that's held in high esteem globally, from the Caribbean to the west to the east. And we're speaking about no other than Queen Soso herself, Sonia Uche. And it's important, if you have not yet joined Sonia Uche channel, please be sure to do so by simply subscribing to a television right here on YouTube. Again, as I stated, I'm Coach Cheryl and I'm new to the whole Nollywood spectrum and scene. In light of the many conversations and gist that's being told, I wanted to bring a fresh perspective, understanding my love for Nollywood, the actors, the talented writers, producers, that are on the scene. And one of the things I love watching movies, and one of the things I've learned while watching movies, being raised in the Caribbean, and I looked at Bollywood and a lot of Asian movies, and now Nollywood, and of course, a lot of the movies from Hollywood. I seek for the lessons behind the movies. So in addition to just occupying 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, is about a message that the writers and the actors are portraying. What is the message? And I think based on that, from what I've seen since I started about 5, 6 years ago, is the rich tapestry of complex stories within the Eastern culture. But what I also saw is the rich story that can be related to any young adult, any mother, any family member of faith, and attempting to learn and grow and to flourish in the environment and the complexities that make up a society. And it's so very important to understand if you're a man or woman of faith, and if you desire to be a man or woman of faith and you were not raised in that environment, it is so important to be able to grasp and use these as lessons learned to help to level up and to get to that destination point, whatever that is for you. So embarking on this YouTube platform dedicated to one of my faves, I'm not going to be unbiased. I'm going to be very biased and say one of my faves, Sonia Uche herself. And because of the love I see that she has globally and the impact that she can have and the impact that she has as a single woman, doing the work, gracing the screen with her presence and her talents and her humility, really adorning a lot of the virtues comprised of Galatians 5:22, fruit of the Spirit, and doing it in an area where she can cook, she is a farmer, she is educated, so she went to school, she went to college, she received a degree, she's an actor, a producer, a writer, a daughter, an aunt, a sister, and I'm sure a niece and a few other things. So it's so important that we, as the audience members, not only sit down and enjoy a couple of hours of great television and movie telling and script writing, but also to see the message behind the scenes. And this program is dedicated to, because I already look at the movies, is to glean from it the message that we can all learn from as a global Nollywood community. And today we're going to look at the movie coming from her mother's Nancy Uche or Uche Nancy update, My Choice, which I really love. This movie featured Sonia Uche, Brian Okoye, and Adora Uko. And again, forgive me if I'm mispronouncing the names. And this movie was really about kind of a rich kid that used alcohol, smoking, drinking, womanizing ways to what I call to ease that internal pain that he had. And in his mind, when he lost his father, that the mom was responsible. And he used a lot of the partying ways as a coping mechanism. And many a times we will encounter individuals at a job or in our dating life or even at service, right? In terms of using their image as a coping mechanism. And there's something deeper inside. So as a leadership coach, I would then take someone like that who has a brand image out there and who now desire to form within the identity. We would have a one-on-one in terms of what needs to be done. And I think this particular movie has some salient points I'd like to share with you. And considering the empathy that came from Ifoma, who is Sonia Uche's character, though she played that of a maid and someone who was responsible for the household in the absence of Joe's, played by Brian Okoye, mom, Clara Ifioma brought a lot of clarity to Joe's pain. And she asked the tough questions, and she was able to get him to take the bull by the horn and not use those vices to numb his pain, but to deal with it and to really find his true identity. And ultimately, I believe at the end, middle to the end of this movie, is where his true identity was found. It's within the interaction of him and Sonia Uche that he saw who he was born to be. And that is so very important as we consider honing good character, regardless of the decorum that Joe's O'Brien Okoye's character had at the beginning of this movie. And again, was full of drunkenness, and he always had a negative, bad attitude, very disrespectful. Um, she stayed in her lane, and as a woman of grace, as a child of grace, and she was able to transmit a message to Joe, Brian Okoyo's character, when he was ready to give up those negative attributes and ways. And he was ready to receive the man he was born to be. And so the story unfold, even though he had a relationship, he broke up with a relationship, and he confided in Ifeoma. I don't want to spoil the movie, so you must watch it. Do I recommend it? Absolutely. Uche Nancy has a wonderful way of telling her stories and producing as well. And I personally love a movie with heart. I love a movie that is not so much about opulence, but about learning, growing, and understanding what we need to do in order to find the right person, the right partner, or even to make decisions that's best for us. And those decisions cannot be found with with adorning ourselves or hanging out with around people or filling up our time with empty vessels, with things that's not going to fill us up spiritually and emotionally. It's important that if we don't have those positive attributes, that we align ourselves with someone who has those attributes and who has enough that's overflowing. Because what happens when you stand next to or you continue to engage with someone who has those virtues and attributes of love, joy, peace, patience, long suffering, kindness, good character, fruit of the spirit, what happens is that because that person is overflowing with such joy, love, and peace, it's contagious, and you will get some of those in your own bucket. And when you begin to taste and see that God indeed is good, you will want to keep on with those virtues, with those good habits. So it's important that we not use alcohol or any type of vice to mask our pain. Pain must be confronted head on, and we do not make decisions. Unfortunately, many a times we make our decisions, including choosing our spouse, when we're not within the right frame of mind, and that has negative consequences. So, honing good character, in this case, we have a case of Brian Okoyo's character, not so good, actually bad, and Sonia's character, good virtues that she held on to. And in this case, you'll need to see the movie to see whether they made it or not. It's important to hone in on how good character is contagious once the person is willing to receive it, right? You must be willing to receive it, and you must be ready to make a change with a brand image that you're trying to establish versus who you truly are. And if you don't have congruence and you don't align who you were birthed to be and who you created to be by your creator with that image, you're going to pretty much have operate in a dual system. So become aligned with who you truly are, your identity, and then allow individuals, your audience members, your fans, to see your identity. And similar to the audience members, allow your family members, allow your employees, allow your church members, allow your potential spouse to see your true identity. And if it requires work, no one's perfect, so you begin doing the work. But another good movie by the Uche family, in this case, is Uche Nancy Update. My Choice, starring Sonia Uche, Brian Okoye, and Adora Uko. If you have not seen it, it is certainly recommended that you see this movie indeed. So that concludes another episode of our Soso Walking in Wisdom as we continue to share the importance of adorning fruit of the Spirit, including honing that level of character. And some of that I would like to conclude with Romans 12:2, because ultimately we're talking about your mind and renewing your mind. So it's about renewing your mind and transforming your life to adapt good, positive, healthy character. That's it for now. Until the next time, thank you so much for listening. Be sure to share, find out, and be sure to subscribe if you have not already done so. And in terms of helping us get that message to the masses in terms of really good television, I've heard many a times that fans are not happy with what's going on in Nollywood. And I would also like to leave with this one message. Aside from character matters, and of course, subscribe, the quality and the delivery of the message that we receive right here on YouTube is really a good standard for YouTube, right? And the message quality of the movies, um, the writing, the acting is quality for it being totally for free. So maybe you're used to it, and sometimes we complain a little bit about what we have and we don't appreciate what we have. Another evident of fruit of the spirit and good character is really being content with what you have. And this is a theme and a line that was conveyed by Sonia Uche about a couple of weeks ago or just last week. Being content doesn't mean you don't have goals, but you can take the here and now and be appreciative of it. So I encourage you to appreciate the many men and women that make these Nollywood movies possible for your entertainment, for your enjoyment, and certainly there are lessons to be gleaned from it. Until next time, take care and shalom.